What's coming up is this preview that Arvi did some great work, and he's going to show you this and tell you all about this.
International markets for April 8th, 2021. This is R.V. Ramachandran. Over the years, we've had many requests for us to do analysis on international markets. At the time, we did not have access to international market data. However, all that has now changed thanks to TradingView. Moving forward, we will use TradingView to share our analysis on international markets on a local currency basis. We will continue to use thinkorswim for all of our futures, US equities, and Forex analysis. So look at TradingView simply as a complementary solution to help us provide a more comprehensive look at markets from around the world. In this video, we will look at 10 international equity markets as part of our phased rollout of our international markets service. We will do this video every 2 weeks to keep you up to date on our analysis, and as part of the international markets service, Level 4 members can now send in chart requests for international stocks. And I will also be hosting a chat for our members through Discord so that we can have an interactive dialogue regarding any questions on our analysis and any trading challenges that you may be having. So definitely watch for this notification in the coming weeks. For the international markets video, we will look at both our weekly and daily cycle analysis and then review the forecasted timing across both timeframes. We will start out east in Australia and then work our way through Asia and Europe and finish up with Latin America. One thing to watch for as we walk through these charts is the most recent key weekly lows that formed. You will notice that many of the key weekly lows formed right around the key S&P 500 low that formed back in the late fall of last year. You can use this kind of synchronicity as supporting evidence to your narrative. If you see many equity market lows due around the same time period, it can give you a sense for when to look for that next impulse on the upside. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. We will start with Australia and the S&P ASX 200. So this is our weekly and daily grid here in TradingView, with our weekly on the left and our daily on the right, and on the far right we have our watch list. So for this video, I just wanted to walk through what symbols we are going to be looking at. So we will go ahead and start with the S&P ASX 200, and then we will look at the Shanghai, followed by the Nikkei, and then the Kospi and the Nifty 50. After that, we will look at the DAX, followed by the CAC 40, and then we will look at the FTSE 100, and we'll finish up with the BovSpa and the IPC Mexico. So let's first look at the ASX 200 here and the weekly chart. On the weekly chart, for those who are new to our work, we have our weekly momentum indicator here, which is this red and purple line. When it's purple, that indicates negative momentum, and when it's green, that indicates positive momentum. At the bottom, we have our cycle brackets here. These are manually drawn on all of our charts, and they are simply a visual aid to help us to identify the money flow patterns. On the daily chart, we have our slim ribbon, which is a combination of an 8, 13, and 21 EMAs. When they are configured positively, you will see green colored candles to indicate positive momentum. When they are configured negatively, you will see red colored candles to indicate negative momentum. And when there is a conflict, you will see gray colored candles just to indicate neutral momentum. We have our short-term cycle brackets here to show the shorter term money flow patterns. And lastly, we have our slim ribbon PO, which is a proprietary indicator, and it helps us to show the momentum continuation signals on shorter time frames. So now let's go ahead and jump into the S&P ASX 200. On the weekly time frame, we have a dominant weekly cycle here, which is then broken up into these minor half cycles. So we're saying that there is a clear dominant money flow pattern that is then broken up into these minor money flow patterns. And what I've done is I've highlighted how these dominant money flows have formed over time. and I just want to highlight them for you here for those who are just looking at these charts for the first time. So you can see the rising phase that formed here, and then the corrective phase that formed here, the rising phase, and then the corrective phase, the rising phase, and then the very mild corrective phase. And we have now very likely turned up and are in a new rising phase here on the weekly time frame. You can see that there was a little bit of a flag that formed here, and now our weekly momentum has now turned up here as well, which is giving us some clues that a bottom has already formed. We show the forecasted timing with these blue ovals. The forecasted low was due 329 to 517, and you can see that the low formed likely a couple of weeks early, and that is a bullish sign here as well for the ASX 200. If we shift over to the daily, you can see some further granularity here. You can see the daily cycle, so the short-term money flow patterns. We are setting up a very positive cycle here with a cycle low that will likely be much higher than the prior cycle low. And you'll also note that the slim ribbon is now getting configured much more positively here as well. So what we look for is just a mild pullback with these rising slim ribbons, right? And then a move back to the upside here in the ASX 200. The next short-term low is due 422 to 54. So let's go ahead and shift over to the next symbol. We'll look at the Shanghai. Okay, so this is the Shanghai composite here with the weekly chart having a dominant weekly cycle, which is then broken up into these minor half cycles. You can see that the Shanghai likely formed an early high in this dominant cycle right here, and then rolled down on the downside, which indicates that we are in this corrective period here on the weekly time frame. Now, note that we had a minor cycle low due right in the early March time frame. So what we're looking for is, given that we have negative momentum here, we would look for this to be a bear flag that would likely turn back down on the downside into this next intermediate term low timing. Now, the next low is due 5.6 to 7.19. So there is some time period here of heightened risk here in the Shanghai. What we look for is a failure in this intermediate 38.2 to the intermediate term 50. So that's 34.82 to 35.30. That would be the area that we would look for the Shanghai to fail in and then to roll back down on the downside. If we shift over to the daily chart, you can see that we are testing that zone that I just mentioned. We look for this to roll back down into this next short-term low timing. The next short-term low is due 416 to 427, and then we will look for one more rally, and we will look for this rally right here to fail early and then roll back down and take out that old low. That's really what we would look for to give us some signs that this 33.15 level that I have on the weekly is really in play. You'd want to see this next rally fail and then roll back down early. So definitely keep that on the radar. The Shanghai is clearly showing some relative weakness versus the other Asian markets here. So now let's go ahead and shift over to Europe, and we'll look at the German DAX. So this is a super powerful chart. Why? Let's go ahead and walk through it. On the weekly time frame, you can see the large sell-off that we had with COVID. Then we formed this beautiful basing cycle with a cycle low that was higher than the prior cycle low. And then we got through that old cycle high, which confirmed the base and set us up for a much more favorable overall pattern. And you can see we really have just been blasting off on the upside with super strong positive momentum here on the upside in the German DAX. On the upside, what we're looking for is a test of this major 78.6 and this intermediate level here. So that's 15.541 to 15.802 prior to getting into this next corrective period here. For the DAX, the next key low on the intermediate term is due 525 to 726. Overall, a very, very positive pattern, and we would look for new swing highs to form here going out into the late summer and into the fall. This is a very positive pattern still in the DAX. If we shift over to the daily chart, you can see these long daily cycles with this dominant daily, which is then broken up into these minor half cycles. And what we have here is, I just wanted to highlight this because this is a pattern that you will see quite often, is you have this bull flag that formed, and I've highlighted it in blue, with a mid-cycle low due, right? So you have a mid-cycle low, a bull flag forming, and you would look for an impulse back on the upside because we have this very positive slim ribbon, which indicates that we have very positive upside momentum. So you have everything lining up here, and this is really an ideal opportunity to watch for as you're doing your own analysis. So what's going on at this point is that we are forming one more swamp cycle where we've used up this whole cycle rallying. As you can see here, it leaves a short window of time for a little bit of a pullback, and then we look for a move back to the upside. On the downside, we have this intermediate 38.2, which comes in right at around 14,980, down to around the intermediate term 50, which is 14,878 or so. That would be the zone that we would look for on the downside into this next short-term timing. The next short-term low is due 414 to 54. Overall, a super positive pattern here still in the German DAX.
So that was 3 of the 7 different countries that are covered in the video that was just presented to you. Please do become an Ask Slim member, level 2 or higher, if you want to see the rest of that video and get all of the other countries that is going to be presented to you, to our members, every 2 weeks, where you'll be able to see the updates on the international market. So that's the introduction to that we wanted to bring to you. Again, if you want to become a level 2, 3, or 4 member and get that full video, please write to Matt at AskSlim.com and ask him for what our specials are, our best deals right now for the membership. So Matt at AskSlim.com. Great work by RV, my protege, and every bit as good of an analyst as I am, and you could see that as you looked at that video. So kudos to you, RV. Great work. You are invited to hear me speak Thursday, April 22nd at 3 p.m. Eastern Time at this great free event, Wealth365 Summit, in which there will be over 50 speakers in 6 days. My topic, momentum analysis, the key to trading success. I think you're going to find it incredibly valuable. Please use the link that's included in the description of this post. I hope to see you there.